Hey guys, welcome back. It's wonderful to see all of your smiling faces today. The first thing we're going to do today is talk about a famous artist. His name is Henri Matisse. Now, you can see him there in that picture, and that's him as an old man, and he did some things a little bit different from the way other artists at his time did. What do you see on the floor around his wheelchair there? That's right, you see cut up papers. Papers of all different colors with little shapes cut out of them. Do you notice on the wall in the top right corner of the picture, there's some papers, some shapes that are on the wall, some colored shapes that are hanging up on the wall? What he did was, when he was a younger man, he painted a lot, but as he got older, he started to do something he called drawing with scissors, or making paper cutouts. He'd start by painting the papers because he wanted to get specific colors of paper, and back then they didn't have construction paper. If you have construction paper at your house, you could do this with construction paper. But I don't, so what I'm going to do is color some papers in some different ways, just like he did. After he painted his papers, he would let them dry and then cut them out. There you can see him with some humongous scissors cutting out a piece of paper. And you can see behind him all those different shapes. He would make very large paper cutouts, and he would hang them up on the wall with pins, like sewing pins. Just poke it into the wall to hang it up. And that way he could rearrange them, and once he knew they were exactly where he wanted them, then he would actually go back and, right here it's talking about pinning. That's his assistant who would help him pin things because he was in a wheelchair. But then they would trace it. And you can see there on the floor underneath the cat in this picture, there's a bunch of tracing paper with those shapes on it, and they would trace out exactly where the shapes belonged, so that then they could mount it and hang it up and make museum galleries out of it. So that was kind of his process. Now this is what I've been showing you here with all these pictures and stuff. This is an article on the website for the Museum of Modern Art. I'll leave a link to this article in the description below so you can all check it out if you are interested in reading and learning some more about it. But we're going to be kind of trying to do a paper cutout in the style of Henri Matisse today. And what I want you to look at, if you look at what's hanging on the wall behind him here in this picture, notice that he used organic shapes that look almost like leaves or other natural objects. Maybe some of those shapes almost look like fruit, like apples or something. And he would use sometimes very natural colors, like those are greens and colors, pinks, colors that you might see in flowers and leaves in nature, but other times he would use very, very vibrant colors. On that picture in the wall behind here, you can see some oranges and some dark blacks and colors that jump out, colors that contrast quite a lot. And so he played around a lot with lots of different kinds of colors, but we're going to take inspiration from this. And this is the style of thing that we are going to do on our papers here today. But I have a conundrum. I don't have any colored construction paper here at my house where I'm recording this video. All of my construction paper is at school. So instead, I've got a whole bunch of different, white papers, regular white papers. And what I'm going to do is actually start by just adding some color to this page and maybe a couple of other pages, and then I'm going to use some scissors to cut out some shapes. Now there's a lot of different ways I could add color to these. I could use watercolor paints, I could use markers, I could use crayons, colored pencils, pastels, really whatever. If I'm going to use paint though, I need to make sure that the paper dries before I start cutting it out. So on this paper, I am using markers, and I'm not worried about trying to get the whole page all the way covered. My markers would totally dry out first before that. Notice how I'm just quickly kind of scribbling in some marks, but getting, mostly covered. There are some white gaps. I do have another paper here. I already painted with some blues and violets and reds, and I'm going to let that one dry. If you're going to paint and do markers or something else, then I would suggest do the paint first so you can let that dry while you are working some other colors. So I don't want this whole page to all be the same because I want to be able to cut several different shapes out of it. And so I'm just going to work in some different colors. I got some red here. I'm noticing a common theme here. I've been using reds, purples, and blues. Red and blue mixed together to make purple. That's probably why I've been doing that. I need to do something completely different, though, something I haven't done yet. So I'm going to add in some bright, vibrant yellow in here, and might try some other colors as well. And then I'll get back to you once my paint page is dry. Alrighty, so there, I've kind of got this kind of diagonal texture going, both with my painted paper and with my marker colored paper. My paint still isn't completely dry. It's a little bit of a floppy paper because it's still wet. So I'm going to wait and let that one dry, but I'm going to go ahead and start cutting some of these colors here, these marker colors, into some shapes, and then I'll come back and cut some of these watercolored shapes too. Now, when we cut out shapes for our Henri Matisse inspired paper cutout, we want to think about organic shapes. That means there's going to be a lot of curves. There's not going to be a lot of straight lines. So also, the other thing is, a lot of people are tempted to go do something like draw a circle and then come use the scissors to cut the circle out. But that's not actually the way Henri Matisse did it. He did what we call drawing with scissors. Huh? You can't draw with a pair of scissors. Well, he made up that phrase, drawing with scissors, because he would imagine in his mind what shape he wanted, and then he would just use the scissors to make that shape. So maybe I want a big loopy shape made out of this purple. I'm just going to jump right in and start cutting. And it may not be perfect. It may not end up being exactly what I want the shape to be. But my idea is to have, kind of like Henri Matisse, have a bunch of these little tendrils that come out from one main sort of area. So I'm just kind of having some fun, and a little bit of difficulty, but mostly having some fun cutting. There we go. I've made a shape, okay? I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm going to start cutting out some more shapes, and you want to kind of have a variety of shapes, different sizes, some of them long, some of them short, some of them round, some of them square, some of them, lots of different kinds of shapes. And it's okay to have a shape that's got more than one color in it. So I'm actually over here with the red and the purple. I'm going to kind of make a shape that sort of splits the difference between and has both red and purple in it here. And when you've pretty much used most of your paper and you're, not very sure you can cut any more out of it, don't throw it away just yet. Because there are certainly some of these, pokey edges that I could cut out into another shape, or maybe make a small circle or something out of this corner, or some other shape in between here. So I'm not going to throw this away yet. I will hang on to this. You remember that one picture where Henri Matisse had all of his scraps all over the floor. I think my watercolor painted page is dry enough that I could start cutting from it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just more of the same, just cutting a bunch of shapes. Okay, so I am back now with a blank white sheet of paper and a whole bunch of shapes that have been cut out. And now what do I want to do with these? Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to grab a glue stick and just start gluing these down. No. What I want to do is arrange them in a way and then see if I could arrange them in a more interesting way. So like if I just put that there and that there, and that there, and that there, and that there, and then put the rest of these to the side. Is that very interesting? Maybe. You know, it might have some things going for it. Maybe I like the way that this kind of points towards that, which kind of points that away. Maybe I kind of like how these point towards that. But is there anything I could do to make it mo better? That's more better. You guys know that more better isn't proper. Better. Is there a way I could make it more good? Well, one thing I could do is overlap, right? Where I have a shape on top of a shape. One thing I could do is think about my colors. I've got some vibrant colors and some pale colors. Maybe those are going to interact together in some interesting ways. Maybe I have some larger shapes and some smaller shapes that are going to interact with each other in interesting ways. And maybe if I put all of these shapes on, then it's just too much. So maybe I just need to start over fresh. Maybe I need to have a plan. Maybe I should begin with the end in mind. Maybe I want to have my shapes kind of pointing towards each other in a way that draws your eyes around in circles. So maybe I could start with this shape, which kind of points us this way. And then this shape, which kind of points us upwards. And then this shape, which kind of hooks us back in. And then this shape could kind of loop us back down to the beginning. Maybe I like that, but it needs something in the middle. Maybe it needs something brighter in the middle. Maybe it needs something pointing in from that corner and from that corner. Maybe I don't want it to be looping around in a circle. Maybe I want to have more horizontal stripiness to it. Start all over. Horizontal stripiness. Horizontal stripiness. You know, horizontal means side to side, right? So, things that go side to side. Things that go side to side. Right? There's lots of different ways to play around and see how these look. There's lots of different ways to start over. And so you play with it and you figure out what you like. Everyone's should be different. Okay? I think, what if I do this? What if I do this? What if I do this? And then I can add some bright yellow pops. I don't like the way that covers that up. Maybe I could put it somewhere else and move this a little. And if I'm looking at this and I kind of feel like, you know what, I really like this, except I kind of wish there was more yellow popping into here, well, it's a good thing I saved my scraps. I can come in here and I can say, let's cut out some more yellow stuff and say, there, maybe, no, maybe there. Yeah, I'm starting to like this. I'm starting to, you know what, I think one more thing of yellow over here. Yellow is my favorite color after all. So I've got this little scrap. I bet I could cut a small little something out of that And, you know, if you don't have scissors, you know what else you could do? Or if you're just not any good with scissors, you could rip the paper. You could tear it into some different shapes. Totally up to you. Anyway, I am going to plop this last bit of yellow right there. Now, is there anything else? I'm looking, and this green kind of stands out too much to me. So maybe I should replace it with a paler color. That kind of balances with this purple a little better. Because if it's that green, it's the only thing green on the entire page. Maybe the other option would be to put something green up in this corner to balance it. So right now I'm thinking about not just what's here, but how do I balance it? How do I make it so that there aren't things that just stick out in a way that's awkward or weird? So I can kind of balance that green there by having some more green up here. Oh, yes. Yes, this is starting to look wonderful. Now, notice that I do still have a bunch of scraps, and I have some shapes that I cut out that I did not end up using. It is okay to not use all of your shapes. As a matter of fact, if you have extra leftover shapes, they are great for making another one later. Now, my original plan was to glue these down, but see, here's the problem. I don't have any more glue. I went and looked through my son's art supply stash, which is where, you know, I would usually expect to find glue. I have, like, in my garage, I have wood glue and stuff that, you know, but not stuff that's, you know, regular paper glue. Anyway, my point is, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that some of you are stuck at home with this coronavirus thing going around and you don't have any glue at the house and you don't want to go out to the store to buy some. Guess what? Oh well, this doesn't have to last forever. As a matter of fact, I could just take a picture of it the way it is, snap, and then rearrange it into a completely new arrangement. And guess what? That's perfectly fine because, you know, we live in a digital age anyway. It's not like these things have to be on paper forever. Let's go green. Let's go paperless. Let's, you know, once you've made it, instead of throwing it away or, you know, trying to frame it and try to make that one picture last forever, change it around, make another one. And then snap, take another picture. And then you could rearrange it again. Snap. And again, snap. And just keep playing with it and have some fun. And then you can go back and look at the pictures later and see, which one do I really like the best? Anyway, I hope that you guys are having a good time and not being too stressed out and not working too hard. I hope that you're being creative, having some fun, and I hope that this brings some joy to you, this little project. And I can't wait to see how your little paper cutouts turn out, and I can't wait to see your smiling faces again.